Hey guys, welcome to another video for anatomy and physiology. In this video, we're looking at the skeletal system. This is an intro to the skeletal system, so we're just going to mention a couple of basic facts and go back to the bone tissue that we looked at in chapter 5 under a microscope and look at it more closely so that we can get a better idea as to what is actually happening in the skeletal system. Okay, so this is an introduction. So let's look at a couple of quick facts. So bone tissue is living tissue. It may not look like it on the surface because we think it's just, it's a hard material, that supports the body, but it is actually a living tissue. It supports and protects softer tissue like lungs and heart and stomach and such. It also serves as points of attachment for ligaments, for muscles in particular, and it produces blood, and it also stores inorganic salts. So as we dive in deeper, you're going to see how each one of these factors plays a crucial role in the human system and keeping us alive and balanced. So there's 4 classifications of bones. So what I mean by that is that there's four basic types, or not types, but there's 4 basic shaped bones throughout the entire body. And I have a separate lecture on that where I go through each one of these and the different examples for the different types of bones. There's 2 types of bone tissue. We're looking at compact bone and spongy bone. In this lecture, we're going to highlight more of the compact bone, and we're going to take a look at it under a microscope. So this is the same slides that we view in class. So here we go again, looking at bone tissue under a microscope. So bone tissue, or osseous tissue, again, it's the most rigid of connective tissue. Its hardness is relatively due to mineral salts, such as calcium phosphates and calcium carbonate. So this extracellular matrix also has many collagen fibers, and we're going to do a demonstration, a lab demonstration, where you're going to see how these collagen fibers, which are softer tissue, and the function that they have in bone, making it more flexible. So bone, while it's incredibly rigid because of the salts, as we mentioned before, the calcium carbonate and phosphate, combined with the collagen that is embedded in the bone, you have a material that's incredibly rigid, really strong, hard to break, and also at the same time flexible, which again makes it very difficult to break. So it protects vital parts of the cranial, thoracic cavities, and again, attachment points for muscles. Now, I also mentioned that bone produces blood, and this happens in the red bone marrow. It also stores and releases inorganic salts like calcium and phosphorus, and this helps to maintain pH levels in the blood. So while I'm at it, I thought I would take a minute and just show you where you can go on my YouTube channel to see a little bit more information on how the role that bones play in maintaining pH levels in the blood. So if you go to the video that I have labeled as the thyroid gland, okay, all right, go there. Let me just, okay. So if you go to, I would say minute 8, at minute 8 and beyond, I do discuss how the function that bone plays in maintaining pH levels in the blood. So go there for further information. So in compact bone, the bony matrix is deposited in thin layers called lamellae, and you'll see that in the concentric circle. So if you're looking at the very center of the osteon here, the very center, the very middle circle, if you will, around that you see, and then you have to really look carefully, you'll see the different concentric circles. Concentric circles meaning that there's a circle at the very center, and then there's another one that goes around that, another one around that, and it just keeps expanding, making that circular, that osteon, larger and larger, and those are called lamellae. So around these lamellae, or through these lamellae, are tiny longitudinal tubes called central canals or Haversian canals. Now, also, the osteon, the whole thing, is also sometimes referred to as a Haversian system. Okay. Now, inside of that Haversian canal, okay, that central canal, you have blood vessels that go through there. So bone cells such as osteocytes are located in lacunae that are around and in between the lamellae. Okay, and again, these osteocytes are the site of where the cells that produce and that make more bone, and that's how these concentric circles keep expanding bigger and bigger. And they're, as you can see, they're kind of evenly placed around the lamellae. So this entire system, everything that I've just mentioned, the central canal, the lamellae, the osteon, the lacunae, this system, that circle, that's called an osteon. Okay, so many osteons are cemented together, making up a solid appearing compact bone. So you see one osteon essentially cemented together with its neighboring osteon, and then this just keeps growing bigger and bigger, and that's how bone essentially gets bigger. So each central canal has blood vessels that go through it, as I mentioned before. This is crucial because, as you can see, there are several central canals that you see. Now, again, we're only looking at a really tiny place in this osseous tissue, and so essentially every single Haversian canal or Haversian system osteon has a supply of nutrients right next door in case it needs it. Well, it needs it all the time in a sense, because as we mentioned before, bone is living tissue, so you're constantly having nutrients and waste products come in and out. So when you fracture a bone, and in some ways, like I've mentioned in previous lectures, a fractured bone heals a lot faster than let's say dense connective tissue like a tendon or a ligament, because bone has a ready supply of nutrients through the many blood vessels that go through these central canals, unlike the dense connective tissue, which is so densely packed that you don't have anything that's really going through it. So in addition, bone cells have many cytoplasmic processes that extend outward and pass through very small tubes called caniculi. So if you look very, very closely, I'll point one, well, there's several of them, but I'll point one out here. These caniculi kind of expand outwardly from the central canal and from the lamellae to the next layer of lamellae, and so on and so forth, connecting all the bone tissue, connecting all the lamellae together. So as a result, these materials can move rapidly between blood vessels and bone cells. So in spite of its inert appearance, bone is a very active tissue that heals more rapidly than does injured cartilage, as I mentioned before. This is an introduction to bone tissue. And again, this is just going back to the microscopic tissue that we were looking at in chapter 5. Bone is very active, and it plays an active role in the overall health of the human body. All right, guys. So again, that was an introduction. I hope you learned something new. Thanks for watching, and good luck in your study.